Slowly shift the attention to the body, keeping the back, neck straight, chin parallel to the ground. Keep the neck and shoulders relaxed. Just adjust your alignment so that you are sitting comfortably and your body is stable. And gently come back to your breathing. Slowly begin to deepen the breath. And relax your mind with each passing exhalation. We will be chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Exhale completely and inhale for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just feel the vibrations. Join the palms together and wrap the palms together. Keep them on the eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at the palms, begin to open up your eyes. Start coming back to the smile. Namaste to everyone. Let us begin today's class. So today we are starting with a new practice, and this also you would have heard of before. Kapalbhati. K-A-P-A-L-B-H-A-T-I. Kapalbhati. Kapalbhati. You can split this term again into two parts to understand what the practice is all about. So Kapal means forehead. And Bhati means shining, right? And this practice is also known as Kapal Shodhana. KAPALSHODHANA. Shodhana means purification. Right? So basically from the name itself, you can see what is going to happen when you do regular practice of Kapalbhati. This entire region, this forehead region, there is proper cleansing of this area when you do this practice regularly. Right? Now, before I begin to introduce the practice, so there is a very common misunderstanding that is going on, I would say, that this is a pranayam. Okay, so a lot of people believe Kapalbhati is a pranayam, but Kapalbhati is actually a Shatkarma. SHATKARMA. We are still on the pre-practices. So it is a cleansing practice, but like Nadi Shodhana, the one we did yesterday, that is also called pranayam, right? So modern yogis, when they started modern yogis propagated these practices as pranayam practices instead of what they really were, right? Why? Because it's as I told you, as times change, practices are also delivered in that way only in which the crowd can actually take them, right? So we common people, we were able to understand these practices better when the term pranayam was attached with it. But actually they are these, like till today, whatever we are doing, these are all pre-practices, right? So these are going to prepare you. So Shatkarma means 6 cleansing practices, right? So this is cleaning, like I told you, forehead region, it is cleaning that. Shat means 6, SHAT. This term means 6. So these practices are basically these 6. There are 6 practices, out of which one is Kapalbhati. So it cleanses, and even the mucus, excess mucus that is there, that is also cleansed from the body, right? So you will see that generally this is done before pranayam. Like I told you, the energy channels, you clean them before you do the pranayam, right? So in that same way, you clean the sinus areas, cleanse excess mucus is um, expelled out. So purification, so that the breathing can take place properly, right? When you are doing pranayam. So purification, if you see the sequence, this is done before pranayam, right? And like in some Hatha yogic texts, it is said that these cleansing practices are only required if your three doshas, the Vat, Pitta, and Kapha, they are not balanced. It's only then that a person goes for Shat Karma practice, otherwise, they don't need. So, Hatha Yoga Pradipika says this thing that it's not necessary everyone has to do it, right? But if your three doshas are not balanced, which for us they are not, right? We are either having Vat personality or Pit personality or Kapha personality or a combination, right? So our three doshas are imbalanced. So Kapalbhati will help us a lot when we do it before pranayam, right? So now Kapalbhati is a little intense practice. So there are some precautions that you have to take, and then there are certain people who cannot practice, right? So Kapalbhati, some precautions for Kapalbhati are that one thing, whenever you feel uncomfortable or dizzy, because it is an intense practice, right? So whenever anybody who is doing this feels uncomfortable or dizzy, they should suspend the practice. This practice, puts immense pressure on the abdomen. So your stomach should be empty when you practice. Or if you have had a meal, then 3 to 4 hours gap should be given before you practice Kapalbhati. And just make sure that you don't practice this before you are heading to bed, because this practice, it makes the mind active. Okay, so people might experience sleeplessness if they do this, like close to their timing of sleep. Okay, so just because some practices are good to do before sleeping, but this is not one of them. This will activate and energize you. Right? Now, let me tell you people who shouldn't practice. Okay, so people who should not practice are people who have high BP, the blood pressure is high. You should not make them practice. In case of heart diseases also, they should not be practiced. Stroke, heart disease, both the things. Any kind of abdominal surgery, right? If somebody has had any surgery in their abdominal region, then they should consult their doctor first, right? And a minimum gap is given, right? 3 to 6 months after surgery. They should not, because it is an intense practice. You have to be careful. And even if this time period has crossed, I just ask them to consult their doctor first, right? Because again, now you will get to know each and every practice. Not everybody can do it, right? So only a healthy individual can do all the pranayam practices. Apart from that, a lot of people won't be able to go for certain practices, right? So ulcers, again, any condition pertaining to the abdominal region. So ulcers, again, they are like what is the English term for it? Blisters, right, in the abdominal region. So in that case also, this actually practice produces heat also in the body. So that is why when one has ulcers, it's because of the excessive heat in the body that ulcers take place. So in that case also, one should avoid. Right? In case of lower back pain also, this practice, if not done correctly, it will cause lower back pain, right? So even somebody who is healthy, if they don't do it correctly, lower back pain will immediately come in, right? So someone who has lower back pain, just try to avoid this practice only for them. Right? And last but not the least, in case of, again, abdomen related stuff, so even hernia comes over here, where uh, if you read about hernia, it's basically I'm trying to get the right words. Organ bulging out, right? The abdominal organs, they bulge out, right? So in that case also, abdominal pressure should not be given. Right? Great. So there are some things that you should know about Kapalbhati. First, I will tell you the technique, and then I will tell you some things you have to take care of when you are practicing, right? Okay, so in case of Kapalbhati, it's very important first thing that your posture is correct, right? Like I told you, there is extreme abdominal pressure. So if the lower back is not straight, then chances of developing lower back pain are very, very high. Okay? So you have to make sure that your students are sitting properly. So next thing, so sometimes people cannot sit in the correct posture, or they cannot maintain the correct alignment of the lower back. So in that case, you can ask them to place their hands on the knees, palms facing down, right? Like something like this, okay? And they can lean a little bit forward, right? So this allows you to keep the lower back straight. Okay, and if you are confident that your lower back will remain aligned throughout the practice, then you can sit normally also, right? But when you take this position, you're just making sure that the lower back is straight. Right? So next thing, in Kapalbhati, your inhalation. So generally when we breathe, okay, inhalation is active and exhalation is passive, right? But now we are going to make the inhalation passive and exhalation active. So this, let me just write it down also. We are basically reversing the process. So you can sit normally also. So I like to take one or two deep breaths before I start the practice, right? So I just give the instruction in that way also. So just inhale and exhale. So 2 times normal deep inhalation exhalation, and third time after you inhale, you start the process with the exhalation. So you actively exhale, and when you exhale, you uh, contract the abdomen in, and your goal is that the navel should get as close to the spine as possible, right? So how are you forcing the exhalation? You are pulling the abdomen in again and again, right? So I will just demonstrate the practice once. Okay. So last breath, forceful exhalation where you exhale out all the air. Okay. I'll just bring this close to you. Right. So did you guys see that my abdomen was moving in again and again? So exhalation, how is the exhalation being made forceful? By contracting the abdomen in regularly, right? So you do not, your focus is on the exhalation. Inhalation will take place automatically, right? So you guys were saying that I was going in a rhythm, and I was just placing the entire pressure on the exhalation, right? So inhalation will happen on its own. You have to allow the inhalation to become passive. Your body will acquire as much air as it needs. Your focus is to exhale forcefully and contract the abdomen. So you have to sync the movement and the movement of the body and the breath, right? Okay. So in this, what generally happens is one thing is posture is not correct. So there is issue in lower back, right? Second problem that happens is there is too much movement in the body, right? Because now you are making forceful exhalation, right? There is some force that you're applying on the body. So the body begins to move, right? So you have to maintain the stability of the body. That is another important thing. So sometimes when you introduce the practice of Kapalbhati, people move a lot. Okay. So you have to correct them. You have to tell them you have to keep the body stable, right? Then third thing is, so I went very fast, right? When I demonstrated, but you can go at your own pace, right? Because the goal is not to complete, say, 20 rounds in this amount of time. The goal is that each exhalation is done with equal force, and that thing is maintained throughout the practice. So there should be uniformity, right? So most people, what they do is they begin at a very fast pace, and by the end of the round, they are so exhausted, they're not able to continue that pace. So this should be avoided. Okay. Throughout the practice, your pace has to be continuous. So you can go for a slower pace, and eventually you will reach a faster pace. The point is not reaching a faster pace. Basically, when we see someone demonstrate, the mind immediately catches the pace, and the mind is say, okay, I also have to do it this fast. So no, go with your breath, understand yourself, and maintain the practice in such a way that you are going uniformly throughout, right? So force should also be equal. So what people do is, in order to do this practice fast, they do not keep the force equal, and also they don't mm, uh, exhale as forcefully as they can, right? So your goal is that the navel should get as close to the spine as possible, right? That doesn't mean that you have to force too much, right? But then again, my stomach can go in, right? But because I want to increase my pace, I will not allow my stomach to contract properly, I will focus on the pace, right? So this is another thing you have to avoid. You have to just, your main goal is, main characteristic point of this practice is that contraction of the abdomen should take place properly. Okay. Then another thing is that shoulders also move sometimes. Okay. So these are all things you will see. And when you see your students, you will be like, okay, now this has started happening, right? The shoulders also move. Again, this is also a point of stability. They will have to acquire stability in the body in order to avoid that, right? And last but not the least, it is the facial expression, right? So, people want to exhale out the air, right? And they understand Kapalbhati, but they think they are, uh, um, the pressure is coming from here. So their face goes like this, right? Like if you are trying to exhale, so you will be like, right? So you are putting the pressure from here. But in Kapalbhati, the pressure of exhalation comes from the abdomen, right? So face is completely relaxed, right? And the abdomen is creating the pressure for the air to get expelled out. So a lot of people will contract their face, or their facial muscles will get very tight and tensed during this practice. So you have to avoid this thing, right? Because the pressure is not being, it's not coming from here, it's coming from the abdomen, right? At the end, in the last round, you have to exhale out all the air. Okay, so there is, like, earlier when you do the rounds, there is continuous, like, exhalation and it is forceful, but at the end, like I also, when I demonstrated, so I expelled out all the air. So, you know, and then it's okay if your body doesn't want to breathe. Okay, after Kapalbhati, just allow your body. Okay, sometimes you will not feel like breathing. That's okay. And sometimes you will feel as if you want to inhale very quickly. Okay, that is also, allow your body to uh, come to its own pace of breathing, right? After Kapalbhati. And if you feel the immediate urge to inhale, right? So try to keep the inhalation control. Okay, slowly inhale. Even if you feel that, oh, I have to inhale immediately, just inhale, take that breath in a little bit slowly and in a controlled manner. So I'll tell you a few benefits, right? Because, even though we understand uh, that yoga is deeper, but sometimes, you have to, like I told you in the morning also, we give kids some toys, right? So these can act as the toffees and chocolates that you give to your students, right? When you tell them the benefits, okay, do this practice. Why? Because this. So this practice is amazing for all the abdomen related things, right? So your digestion gets better, all the organs in the abdomen, they get stimulated, right? So people who suffer from diabetes, right, all the issues which are pertaining to the abdominal region, it's a good stimulation for all the organs present over here, right? The mucus of the body, it gets expelled out. So someday when you will have cold and you practice Kapalbhati, you will immediately understand this benefit, right? All the mucus will come out, right? And allow it to, because it is a cleansing practice, right? So it does release toxins, right? So the mucus and excessive toxins of the body are expelled, right? And then this entire region, this also gets activated, right? So I said forehead cleansing. This entire region also gets activated and cleansed. it is great for your nervous system. This is a great practice to begin your day with because it energizes you and even it energizes the mind, right? So if you are very lazy, if you feel very sleepy, right, Kapalbhati is your all-time practice that you can keep with yourself. All your mental stress, everything. Kapalbhati is a great practice for all of these things, right? Because again, its impact is mostly seen in this region, right? So it relieves a lot of stress. You know, when people get stressed, they look like this. That all these lines they come up, right? So great practice for energizing the mind and relieving the stress from the mind, right? And all the other benefits they follow. So I won't mention all the mental benefits, but you can understand, right? Good for people who have depression, right? But in anxiety, again, it's activating the mind too much, right? So in case of anxiety, just be careful. Even if you are introducing this practice, keep a very close check. But in case of depression, it's a great practice, right? Somebody who labels themselves as an introvert and wants to be more active in that sense. So great practice for those people, you know, because it uh, leads the mind to a state of extroversion, right? Activation and extroversion. And spiritually, again, this practice is amazing. Why? Because uh, a very important energy center is present right here, right in the on the forehead region. So all of this activation is taking place. So great spiritual practice also. But those benefits come on like uh, they will come, but they will be understood as you go deeper into the practice, right? So I don't elaborate much on this. Great. So we are all set for our practice. All the details, everything you guys know now, right? So another important point that I forgot to mention was specifically try to contract the lower abdomen. It will change the quality of your practice, right? Specifically try to pull in the lower abdomen. That is where if you when you shift the pressure over there, the practice feels a little bit different, right? So you can experiment. For a beginner, 10 to 15 rounds are good enough. You can go up to 50 rounds, but don't get stuck in numbers, right? Right now, when we will practice, we will do anywhere between 15 to 20 rounds, as much as you guys are comfortable. Okay. And you can go with a slower pace. So if you feel like it, go for very slow pace. So I will just demonstrate the slow pace also because I demonstrated fast and then students also start doing it fast, right? So if you want to go for a slow pace, even this pace is good, right? So right, even this slow pace is amazing to begin with, right? So let's begin our practice. Okay, sit comfortably wherever you are. Okay, keep the back and neck straight and gently close your eyes. Just follow my instructions. We will prepare our breath first and then we will do Kapalbhati. For now, just bring your mind to the breathing. and get connected with the natural flow of your breath. Make sure that your posture is correctly aligned. And slowly begin to deepen the breathing. Slow, long, and deep breaths. We will do some abdominal breathing first. So exhale completely, contract the abdomen, and slowly begin to inhale. Feel your tummy rise. As you exhale, contract your abdomen. And continue this practice for a few more breaths. Deepen the practice with each passing breath. After the next exhalation, just suspend the practice and observe your breath. Keeping the back and neck straight, we will directly go into the practice of Kapalbhati. Make sure your lower back is straight, or you can choose to change your posture, keeping both your hands on the knees, placing the palms down. We will take 2 deep breaths first, and then on the third breath, we will begin with the practice of Kapalbhati with the exhalation. We'll begin with the 3 breaths. So inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And begin your practice with the exhalation, going for 15 to 20 rounds as you are comfortable. On the last exhalation, expel out all the air from the body. And if you were leaning forward, just gently move back and just observe the impact of the practice. Allow your body to breathe as it needs to breathe. Keep your attention either on the abdominal region or the area between both your eyebrows. We will go for 2 more rounds like this. Again, before we begin the practice, keep the back and neck straight. We'll begin with the 3 breaths. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And with the exhalation, begin your practice. Only 15 to 20 rounds. Expel all the air in the last breath, and then just allow the body to breathe as it needs to breathe. We'll go for the last round. Again, just make sure your back and neck are straight. We'll start with the 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And begin your practice with the exhalation. After you complete the practice, just simply observe its impacts. You can choose to keep your attention either on the abdominal region or the area between both your eyebrows. We will close today's class with one Om chanting and 3 Shantis, keeping the back and neck straight. Inhale deeply for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Join the palms together and let's just bow down, taking a few moments in our day to be grateful for everything we have. Rub the palms together. Place them on the eyes. Allow your eyes to absorb sleep. We'll do this 2 more times. Rub the palms together. Keep them on the eyes. One last time. Rub the palms together. Keep them on the eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, begin to open up your eyes. You can spread this energy on your body. Namaste, everyone. Are there any doubts, any difficulty that you guys faced? Difficulty? Okay. If you guys have some lower back pain or abdominal pain after this, it's okay. This was the first time, and it was extreme contraction of the abdomen, which you guys do during this practice. So it is okay, right? Allow that pain to take its time to heal, right? Eventually, as you practice more and more, you will get used to it, and your core will also get stronger, right? So these muscles, they're going to get stronger as you practice more and more. Catherine, you will have to work on relaxing the face muscles, right? And head eye. No, am I getting your name? Heidi.
Heidi.
Sorry. Yeah. So your body was moving.
It was what? Sorry.
Body was moving a little bit practicing. Yeah. So when we practice, we generally, it takes a lot of time because right now you are just processing the practice. So I saw, so I'm just mentioning a few things, whichever I observe, right? So you guys can work on these things in upcoming classes, right? Great. Sure, no doubts. Okay. Okay, great. So take care, guys. Bye-bye. I will see you tomorrow.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.